So this is my first ever interview about the WS250, which is the Widescape made by Widescape. This is Branden, for everybody who doesn't know him. I'll get you to kind of introduce yourself, Branden. So kind of just tell us who you are. But mainly too, I want to know your involvement in the snowmobile community for everybody watching. So I'll leave it to you. Let's get to know who you are, and then we'll ask you about your experience on the Widescape.
Sounds great. Thank you for having me today. So a bit about myself. I grew up in Manning, Alberta, northern Alberta, and I ended up spending a lot of my life snowmobiling from a very young age. My mom mentioned that she snowmobiled when I was pregnant, and she took me snowmobiling when I was 1 year old. So I pretty much been doing it my whole life. I chose snowmobiling over a lot of other sports through high school and whatnot. So I never played hockey. I went snowmobiling every weekend instead. It's always been a big passion of mine and something that I've really enjoyed to do. I love the freedom of being able to be on the mountain with your friends and just go where you want to go and not be restricted by certain types of like having a referee for example. As long as you're riding in the right areas, it's pretty much complete freedom. So something that I really enjoy about the snowmobile industry and community. And my parents built a cabin in the Pine Pass in northern British Columbia, and I used to ride 30-40 days a winter out there.
Nice.
Still try to get out there as often as I can. So
I think one thing you are missing too is you are a helicopter pilot.
yeah,
I think that's pretty cool for people watching.
Yeah, so my career background is I'm traditionally a forestry professional. So I went to forestry school and I became a forest technologist in Alberta and in British Columbia. And then most recently I became one of the partners at Gemini Helicopters at the Grand Prairie Airport. And we moved out to Grand Prairie, Alberta, brought my family and my son out here, or my wife and my son. And yeah, so now I'm actually at the Grand Prairie Airport today, and we are now residents in Grand Prairie, Alberta, and I'm working on my pilot's license. We get to do all sorts of cool jobs in the aviation industry and utilizing helicopters, and we've actually done some like snowmobile long lining in sleds into backcountry areas to go do some snowmobiling for some specific clients. So yeah, some pretty cool stuff we've got to do over the years for sure.
That is cool. So with your experience in the sledding industry, you're used to riding like a full-sized Ski-Doo or Polaris. What Ski-Doo, I hope.
Yeah, I got a Gen 5 Turbo Doo, yeah.
Okay. So you got the chance to try the WS250, right? You got a demo day with two of them from your local dealer in Grand Prairie?
Yeah, so Stojan's Grand Prairie called me and said, hey, we got these Widescapes in if you want to give them a try. We'll put your name first on the list and you can take them out. So
Perfect.
yeah,
So how did you find the Widescape versus being like obviously a pretty advanced rider, a pretty seasoned rider on a snowmobile? How did you find the Widescape comparable to a snowmobile?
I've rode snow bikes before too. I found the Widescape is sort of its own machine. It's not really comparable to a snowmobile or even a snow bike. I mean, in some ways it can be, but I found it more comparable to like a cross between a jet ski and a I guess a dirt bike, but on the snow. That's probably the best way I can describe it.
So one thing that people don't know, I don't know if you know, but the designer of Da Vinci bicycles is actually the designer of the Widescape. So it's a lot like a mountain bike for the snow, but you're standing up.
Yeah.
So it's very different. Yep.
Yeah.
I love that you pointed that out because a lot of people are like, is it like this? Is it like this? And I'm like, you just have to try it because it is so different. It's its own little machine. Like, so how many of you were in your group and how many did you take out that day?
Well, I actually was able to ride it for 5 days.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I mentioned my family has a cabin in Powder King in the Pine Pass in northern British Columbia, and uh we typically go out there just after Christmas till New Year's. So we were out there from the 28th of December till January 1st, and pretty much rode it every day. I wanted to really put some kilometers on it and see how I liked it, and the snow wasn't like super deep or anything. So with the turbo snowmobile, it I didn't really have too much interest to go way back and do a bunch of riding, and so
Yeah.
we took him out, and me and my wife rode him, my mom, my dad, my brother. Um, Honestly, driving by the ski hill at around New Year's, there was just people everywhere trying to track me down, saying, "Let me look at that thing," and asking me all
Oh,
these
yeah.
questions.
So you
Um,
found too, it was like everybody was like, what is that? Because every time I bring it out, it's like people come flying out of their trailers, like, what is that
yeah,
thing?
yeah, that's exactly what it was like. I've seen snowboarders walking back to their cabins or their wherever they were staying at the end of the day, and they definitely were jealous because I was pretty much on a snowboard
A
with a
snowboard with a motor. Yeah.
track.
So where did you take them? Did you take them, were you in the alpine or kind of down in the valley in a cabin?
So I rode them lots just around the cabins and through the trees, and we have like a pipeline that runs across the edge of the mountain, and we snowmobile that to get to the main riding areas. So we spent a lot of time riding around there. We did make it up partway into the Alpine the one day. We don't really have a lot of uh I guess like traditional riding areas. Like it's a lot of times when we're snowmobiling out there, we are just riding through the trees and a lot of tree riding and stuff. So
Mhm.
I did make it into some alpine, but it I'd spend a lot of time just riding in the afternoon with my wife, and we'd go skiing in the morning and then go riding in the afternoon kind of thing.
And then another question I kind of want to ask, how did you get to ride it kind of on a trail, like a packed trail?
Yeah, I rode it.
And then some like powdery stuff, obviously off trail, ditch banging. What
Yeah,
did you prefer between the two? Did you find it tough to ride it on a packed trail?
it was easier than I thought to like stay stable and stuff.
Hmm.
It was a lot of physical effort. So what I noticed is that like I think I got made it halfway up the trail and I drank like a liter of water because I was just exhausted because
It's endurance. Yeah.
it's endurance for sure. So anyone that wants to train for athleticism and things like that, I think they'd be a really good opportunity. Like say a dirt bike racer in their off season, for example. But it's
Mhm.
definitely a workout. And I got to ride it in all sorts of conditions. The first day there was maybe a foot of snow of powder, and so we got to rip around all over the place in that, maybe a foot and a half, and then it got warmer and the snow sort of set up. But so I got to ride trail, I got to ride decent powder, I got to ride set up snow, uh, all of the above, all over the
Cool.
place.
And I see, like, I get a lot of comments that people think it's going to either one, hurt their back or hurt their knees. So if you can kind of put into perspective how tall you are, because you would have been hunched over as well, right? Did you
Yeah, I'm
find,
like
or did you just have to adjust your position and figure out a different way to ride it so that it was more comfortable for you?
I'm like 5'7" or 5'7.5", and everyone that jumped on them said that they thought the handlebars were too low. I I thought that kind of at first, and the more I rode it, I'm pretty adaptable, so I just sort of got used to it, and
And then how much did you roughly spend on fuel compared to how much you would have spent if you guys were on snowmobiles for for the 5 days you were out there?
uh, I'd be surprised if I used more than like a jerry can, and I put like 60 kilometers on, so it didn't really burn much fuel. The fuel tank is small, so like if you're going way back further, like the one day I rode quite a bit, and a couple other people jumped on and were trying it and whatnot, then it started to burn through the fuel, but it's a light machine, and it didn't really seem to burn much fuel, and the one time that it got low, we just put some out of a sledge jerry can in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall the machine's really light. I was super surprised. I can actually pick it up by the front ski and the little handle there, and then the back bumper, and I can actually like lift it off the ground like right to my waist if I
The entire machine actually is 200 pounds from front to back,
yeah,
the whole thing. So even I can pick it right up. Like it's
yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah, like a couple
Um,
you could probably lift it in the box of a truck, like
oh
pretty.
yeah. Oh yeah, my husband and my friend lifted it right off the sled deck and just sat it on the ground together. Okay, next question was, how did you transport your Widescape when you had them?
So when I showed up to the dealership, I had my truck with my sled deck, and they said, "How's that gonna work?" And I said, "I don't know. We're figuring it out though."
Yeah.
So so we thought about it, and we were gonna try to drive them up the ramps. Like these guys had no idea what because nobody's ever loaded them before. They had just got them, so we ended up using the Bobcat and driving them onto like this little platform sled lift thing that they have, and we just lifted them up to the deck and then just uh, behind the deck, and then just drove them off that right onto the deck.
Yep.
On the way home, I brought them back on in my dad's trailer because I had to haul it
Yep.
anyway. So and then unloading them, I just backed up to a snowbank and grabbed them by hand, turned them around on my deck, and then just
Drove
drove
them off.
right
Yep.
onto the snowbank with no ramps.
Perfect. So did you
Yeah.
just strap down both sides of the handlebars down
I,
to your where you would put
yeah.
like your super camp clamp loops almost?
Yeah, I did it exactly as a dirt bike kind of setup, just the single straps on each bar. And then I
Yep.
ran one through the
Track at the
frame.
back.
Well, yeah.
Nice. Okay.
But
After riding the WS250, do you see yourself wanting to buy one or two?
I have quite a few snowmobiles, and I do that a lot. So uh I definitely would be interested in buying one. Right now I haven't went out and bought one right away, but uh I really enjoyed riding them, and thought that it was a great experience, and for like having them around the cabin and stuff, and with the family and friends, and being able to just go and rip around through the trees and whatnot. I think if I was to buy one, I would want to have like a couple people that bought them with me, and then we could all just like go ride
Ride
together.
together. Hmm.
Yeah, I think that'd be like kind of its own like group of friends that you just kind of go out and go
Because
ride.
that's the thing too. Like you could zip through the trees. It's kind of like a snow bike, the same concept. Like the snow bikers can ride in the trees, where us sledders are like, oh, I can't fit in there.
Yeah.
Same with the Widescape. You can kind of go and zoom through where your snowmobile wouldn't fit. Like it just wouldn't fit.
Yeah, like if I could get four buddies that wanted to all buy one, then we would just throw them on the sled deck, all four, jump in the truck and go ride, like just our group kind of thing is would be
Yeah. Cool. I'm glad that you actually liked it enough that you would buy one. What would be your main use for the WS250?
I think around the cabin, like tree riding, maybe around home or something, like in northern Alberta would
Yep.
be kind of fun to have one around the house or something.
Or even
I think
to
I
ride the
think when younger,
trails without overheating.
yeah, or blowing your track off. Like I mentioned, having like a friend group and just going out and riding, I think would be cool.
Hmm. So how did you find that it handles? So for you, like what was some of the things that you had to do to kind of keep it stable or keep it on? Because like for me, I find it's people always ask me, oh, is it a lot of like leaning and steering, where it's really not a lot of steering at all. You're trying to keep that track or that ski straight, right? It's a lot of leaning. So for the male's perspective, how did you feel that you kind of had to maneuver yourself for the way it handled?
Honestly, I'm not really sure. Like what I did was I just jumped on it and rode it, and I was quite concerned that I might like crash or that the handlebars would hit me or something like right off the bat, especially because I unloaded it in like near the parking lot, and then had to like drive down the road that was just packed with ice, and I was concerned about tipping it, but I actually rode it for like a half hour and never had before I had my first like flop over. I seen other people jump on it and make it like 10 feet, but So I found it actually quite stable. It's hard to explain. People have asked me that before, and I had a tough time explaining it. I just sort of jump on it and ride it, and sometimes I find it's like seems overly stable, and then sometimes when you're in a weird situation, or if it starts like wheeling or something, then it like starts to feel unstable. But yeah, I'm not really sure. I just sort of jumped on it and rode it. But it was a good exercise. Like that's was the biggest thing I found was that it was like
It's a lot of
it was
core
full
workout.
on like you're riding. It's not like you're just sitting there because you're standing,
Yeah.
right? So,
What are some things that you would like to see, as per like modifications or accessories or that kind of thing come from Widescape?
well, I think if you're actually gonna go ride in the backcountry, you should have a jerry can set up for sure. Um, if you're riding with sleds, it's kind of fine because they can bring like one jerry can and fill up a few of them or whatever. But uh, yeah, I would say definitely a jerry can accessory. I thought about a seat post too. So if you ever get real tired and you just need to like sit down and ride it
There is
out.
a seat that comes with it. There's
Okay.
four, if you look on the back side of the like the tunnel there, there's four little screw holes.
Yeah.
That's for this little cushion that's like this big.
Yeah.
That's only there for you to sit down and take a break. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've ours actually had them on it. And but I would have benefited, I think, from having an actual like post of some sort come up that you could actually like if it was mounted on the side and for when you're riding it, and then if you actually got like tired and you wanted to just put the post in and like sit on it like a pedal bike, I think I would see benefit from that as an accessory.
That's cool. I never thought of that.
I'm pretty confident I could actually sat on it and rode it like a
Like a
pedal
bike.
bike, yeah, if there was a seat.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I'm trying to think what else. Definitely more horsepower, like in, if there's any opportunities for tuning them or doing different types of things. Obviously the nice thing about them is that they're super light, so
Yeah.
you
And I
could race
think they
that.
went for like the reliability of the engine in the 250 four
Yeah,
stroke. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. So I mean, they're just getting started, right? And
Yep.
I'm sure there'll be some things come out in the future. Time will tell, but it yeah, there may be an opportunity to like be able to get more power out of them or something like for aggressive riders that want to go way up in middle of nowhere. So the one thing I really liked about it is when you get stuck, it's like so easy because I could literally lift it out of the snow
Yep.
or
And then walk beside
or
it.
you walk beside it. Yeah. So if you can't climb up a hill, you just like get off, or if you
Yep.
fall over halfway up a hill, you just get off, tip it up, and then just like side hill this way, and then like spin it around, just like side, and you just like climb, wait, make your way up some way or another.
Yeah. And it's less intimidating too than a snowmobile. I found that like it's almost intimidating that, yeah, I have to get myself up there, but I also have to get this giant machine up there with me without it crushing me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't roll down the hill like a sled. It just flops on its side and
It just,
stops.
yeah. Okay. So who would you recommend the Widescape to? Like
Honestly, when I
where,
was like 10 to 14 years old, like a or young teenager, I would have loved that thing. I would have just rode it every single day everywhere. So I think that would be for up and comers in the industry, like I think that would be a really good opportunity. My wife and my mom actually really liked them. My mom is pretty physically fit and she's over 50 and she really liked it because it was like a good kind of workout exercise type thing.
does she
So
like to cross country ski as well?
no, she doesn't. She likes to snowshoe though. So
Yeah,
definitely.
see?
And then like I mentioned, maybe professional athletes that just want to like train. Like I think if you just went and like rode that hard like all day for like a month, for example, like in the backcountry, like you would be super ripped and fit for sure.
And you can
So
be outside instead of a
yeah, so
sweaty,
maybe
stinky gym.
yeah, exactly. So for anyone that's like a dirt bike racer or some sort of professional athlete in the summer, it'd be a good training opportunity for the winter. And maybe even like professional snowmobilers, like if they go and route that for a week, like that could potentially build their endurance skills too. So
100%. So, what did you find were like pros and cons? What were some things
uh
that you were like, this is
yeah,
really
so
cool, this is really not cool?
so we had issues with the limiter straps. We ended up breaking both of them.
Okay.
And we were able to actually tie them and be able to drive them out. But that's definitely something that they should look at, I would say. My pros were I guess it was fun. Caught a lot of attention, so it was kind of cool. Everyone was talking about it. It was really good for just like driving around from like around New Year's. There's just a lot of people out there, so you just like drive around to a neighbor's place and out to the cabin and stuff like that. So it's pretty fun and cool for that, to just be able to have something to just hop on near the ski hill kind of thing. And I guess the biggest con that I think for me anyway was maybe just the power. I'm a bit, I'm over 200 pounds, like 215, 220, and it in the deeper snow it would start to stand up on me a little bit. And then yeah, I think heavier people would definitely have issue with the power.
Yep.
So that would maybe be something that I could bring up, but it's also really light too, so it's just kind of what do you want. So yeah, those are some of the pros and I guess some of the cons that I had.
Cool. Is there anything else that you would like to share and or ask me or Widescape?
No, I don't think I have anything. It's a unique tool to utilize in the backcountry or really anywhere. There's it has the opportunity to potentially change the industry, I would think, or create a different industry that's, similar, but it's different. Because they're not the same as a snowmobile, but there's similarities still. So yeah, no, I think it's just really cool to see someone doing something that's different, and looking forward to see how things progress in the upcoming years. So
Cool. Well, I just want to personally thank you for one, trying the Widescape and not being a skeptic, and two, for loving the Widescape and wanting to share it with your friends and family. That is awesome. And then three, for being here with us today and sharing your experience. It's awesome. So, and you will see this come up on my social media pages, obviously, for everybody to kind of look at and see that it's not just me out there riding the Widescape. There's grown men who have real professions and have ridden a snowmobile for their entire lives who also love the Widescape, but we're not here to replace our sleds, right? So again, I just want to thank you, Branden, and I hope to see more of you out there on a Widescape.
yeah, thank you. And I also wanted to just throw a quick thanks to Stojan's Power Sports for hooking me up with 2 demos for my family and friends to ride for just under a week. So that was great. They were
That's awesome.
and
Thank
wide
you guys.
and Widescape for their demo program, obviously.
I do love that. That's one of we missed that, I think, as a pro, is they run one of the coolest demo programs that any company, like, even right, because that shows their confidence. They're so confident in their product. They know that you're gonna like it. They're like, just try it.
The dealership told me that they specifically chose me because they knew that we would put them to the real test.
There you go. See,
So,
they
so
were like, go try it. Just try it.
I wrote it very hard. Some places was demos.
Sweet. Well, thanks again, Branden. And like I said, I'll see you out on the snow, and I hope to see you on Widescape.
Yeah, thank you.